Picture this. June 2026. You are an independent developer searching for an AI workstation. The first result is the NVIDIA DGX Spark, a palm-sized black box priced at $4,699. You think, a personal computer for $4,699? But the specs say 128 gigabytes of memory, 1 peflop of compute, capable of running a 200 billion parameter model. 3 years ago, that was an entire data center. You scroll down, AMD Ryzen AI Halo, similar specs, but only $3,999. You scroll further, Apple Mac Mini M4 Pro with 48 gigabytes for $1,999. 3 machines, 3 price points, 3 completely different edge AI strategies. This is not just a hardware war. The 2026 AI workstation market is a war about where the future of AI will run. Today we break down this 3-way battle using real data and the latest products. Let us start with a number. According to market research, the generative AI market in creative industries will reach $5.38 billion in 2026, growing at 32.3% annually. 88% of enterprises already use AI design tools, but the real story is the trend shift beneath these numbers. Before 2025, everyone thought AI should run in the cloud, but by 2026, more developers and enterprises are saying, I do not want to send my code, my customer data, my core assets to someone else's server. Reason 1 is cost. Cloud API prices are rising. With local inference, you buy the hardware once, and running it 10,000 times costs the same as running it once. Reason 2 is privacy. Healthcare, finance, and legal firms cannot upload patient records or contracts to third-party APIs. Reason 3 is agentic AI. Autonomous agents call AI frequently, and local inference reduces latency from seconds to milliseconds. A Lenovo report states that 2/3 of enterprises now prefer a hybrid AI strategy. That is why the AI workstation market is exploding in 2026. Let us start with NVIDIA's DGX Spark. This machine features the GB10 Grace Blackwell superchip, a 20-core ARM processor, 1 pflop FP4 compute, and 128 gigabytes of memory. Spec-wise, this is a data center sitting on your desk, but the DGX Spark is just a vehicle. NVIDIA's real strategy is a unified ecosystem from data center to edge. You develop, test, and fine-tune your model on the DGX Spark, supporting up to 70 billion parameter fine-tuning and 200 billion parameter inference. Then you deploy the same model seamlessly to NVIDIA's edge devices, the Drive AGX Thor for autonomous vehicles, the Jetson Thor for humanoid robots, and smart city surveillance systems. The key enabler is TensorRT Edge-LLM, a pure C++ inference runtime. Why pure C++? Because in automotive and robotics, you cannot rely on a Python interpreter. Memory usage must be predictable, latency guaranteed, and startup time in milliseconds. TensorRT Edge-LLM supports an impressive feature set. First, mixture of experts models like Q&3 MAUI, activating only a fraction of parameters per inference to achieve large model capability with a tiny compute footprint on edge devices. Second, the hybrid member transformer architecture in NVIDIA's Nemotron 2 Nano model, which dramatically reduces KV cache memory usage. It supports dynamic switching between a think mode for deep reasoning, achieving 97.8% accuracy on Math 500, and a no_think mode for real-time conversation that skips reasoning traces entirely. Third, end-to-end multimodal voice, allowing in-car AI to complete the full cycle of speech recognition, reasoning, and response directly on the chip without network connectivity. Fourth, Cosmos Reason 2 gives robots 3D spatial awareness and physical common sense, while Alpamayo 1 plans precise autonomous driving trajectories from multi-camera input. NVIDIA's ambition is a complete closed ecosystem from development to deployment. So what about AMD? At CES 2026, AMD made a very clear statement. CEO Lisa Su announced a 3-tier edge AI strategy. Tier 1 is mainstream consumer, the Ryzen AI 400 series with the XDNA 2 NPU delivering up to 60 TOPS for always-on AI tasks. Tier 2 is high-end workstations, the Ryzen AI Max Plus 392 with up to 16 Zen 5 cores, Radeon 8060S graphics, and 128 GB of unified memory. Tier 3 is the developer platform, the Ryzen AI Halo mini PC with the ROCm software stack pre-installed, ready to run LM Studio, Comfy UI, and VS Code out of the box, priced at $3,999. But AMD's real killer is third-party disruptive pricing. Corsair's AI Workstation 300, using the same Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip with 128 GB of memory, costs only £1,999. That is less than half the price of the NVIDIA DGX Spark. Dave Tucker tested the Corsair AI Workstation 300 on his blog. Running a quantized QN3 535B model, it achieved 54 to 61 tokens per second generation speed. Prefill speed was even more impressive, reaching 1,188 tokens per second at a 1024 token context. His conclusion was one sentence: by the Corsair, the Wccftech Evo X2 is similarly priced at $2,300 to $2,400. In other words, AMD's 128GB AI workstations cost half as much as NVIDIA's with equivalent inference speed. But that is not all. AMD's biggest software breakthrough in 2026 is ROCm 7 with full Windows support. Previously, ROCm only worked on Linux, which was the biggest pain point for AMD's AI ecosystem. Now, through the open-source The Rock Build platform, ROCm 7.2 natively supports PyTorch inference on Windows. For the vast Windows developer community, this is a historic liberation. Combined with the MyGraphX inference engine, AMD's software ecosystem has evolved from barely usable to everyday usable. Next is Apple. Apple's Edge AI strategy is completely different from NVIDIA and AMD. NVIDIA's keywords are data center to edge, robotics, autonomous vehicles. AMD's keywords are x86 compatibility, ROCm open source, Windows ecosystem. Apple has only three keywords: unified memory, bandwidth is king, privacy first. There is a fundamental rule for large language model inference. Token generation is not compute bound, it is memory bandwidth bound. Every time you generate a token, you must read the entire model weights from memory. So your tokens per second equals your memory bandwidth divided by model size. Apple's M4 Max has a memory bandwidth of 546 GB per second. Running a 7 billion parameter quantized model, it achieves approximately 136 tokens per second. A 32B model hits 30 tokens/s. Even a 70B quantized model runs at 14 TOC/s, perfectly usable. By comparison, AMD Strix's Halo bandwidth is about 256 GB per second, less than half of the M4 Max. The NVIDIA DGX Spark at 273 GB per second is also only half. The Mac Mini M4 Pro with 48 GB at $1,999 is widely considered the best value local LLM workstation in 2026. At WWDC26, Apple made three major moves that further widen its on-device AI advantage. First, the Core AI framework replaces Core ML. It is an OS-level framework built specifically for Apple Silicon, featuring zero-copy data paths and ahead-of-time compilation support, reducing model load times to milliseconds. Second, the Foundation Models framework provides a native Swift API for developers to directly access the on-device models powering Apple Intelligence, supporting multimodal prompts and dynamic profiles that switch between different models and tools within a single conversation. Third, the AFM 3-core Advanced, Apple's third-generation foundation model, implements per-prompt routing decisions in MLE architecture, allowing a 20 billion parameter model to run on-device. Data never leaves the device. Apple's Edge AI strategy in one sentence: I am not competing in your battlefield. My battlefield is the consumer's pocket and desktop. Let me summarize the three-way landscape. In physical AI, covering robotics, autonomous vehicles, and industrial inspection, NVIDIA has no competitor. The TensorRT Edge-LLM stack from development to deployment is unmatched. In consumer on-device AI, including phones, tablets, and creator PCs, Apple leads. Not because its chips are fastest, but because unified memory bandwidth is the decisive physical advantage for LLM inference. But in mainstream x86 developer and enterprise edge computing, AMD will be the most powerful disruptor. The Corsair AI Workstation 300 delivers 128 GB of memory and 54 to 61 tokens per second at less than half the DGX Spark's price. With ROCm 7 now available on Windows, the entry barrier has dropped significantly. The 2026 Edge AI market is not about who wins or loses. It is about three kingdoms dividing the application landscape. AI is no longer just the cloud things. It is coming back to your desk, your pocket, and your devices. The strategic choices of NVIDIA, AMD, and Apple will determine the computing landscape of AI for the next decade. I am Dennis. See you next time.